After recent exceptional performances from the likes of Hakim Ziyech and Thomas Partey, it feels like an appropriate time to look back over some of Africa's big movers of the summer and pick out a few who have impressed us the most so far this season. So, Colin, let's start with those two big-name arrivals in London. Hakim Ziyech at Chelsea, Thomas Partey at Arsenal. Which of the two has impressed you most so far?
Oh, yeah, Ed, look, I think we can't help but start from Thomas Partey. The way he dominated and decimated the Manchester United midfield over the weekend, it was just a beautiful sight to behold. It was like an African lion, playing against little hyenas or pussycats, and he just ran them all over the field. So it's hard not to look at him and think this is exactly the world-class midfielder Arsenal have been looking for. He had the most touches in the game. He had the most duels won. He had the most ball recoveries. He had the most take-ons completed. I mean, it was a combination of Ferrari, Mercedes-Benz, Lamborghini, everything combined. And United were just a little bit like, some old rickety car moving around.
He also had the highest pass accuracy of any player, any starter on the pitch for Arsenal, which is just another string to his bow. And I love that partnership with Mohamed Elneny. The two of them in there together, a real African centerpiece for this Arsenal team. Certainly Paul Pogba didn't come across very well in the kind of head-to-head battle between the two of them. Roy Keane afterwards was saying how he believes that Partey could be the new Vieira, finally the new Vieira at Arsenal. Do you think there's any truth in that, or do you think it's a little bit too early to be making those kinds of comparisons?
For who? Look, like I said, Partey was far and away the best player on the pitch on the day. Forget everything else. And yes, I do agree with Roy Keane. I mean, look, he was phenomenal. If Partey can keep this up, then definitely Arsenal have got themselves a gem. You were talking about, they're having Guendouzi, having Elneny. And look, I like the partnership, but I'm not sure that Elneny can continue to keep that consistency. He's great when he can, but he has to play beside Partey week in, week out, and I'm not sure he can match up on a weekly basis. But having said that, I do agree with Kino. Partey he's a gem. He's an absolute gem for Arsenal.
It'll be fantastic to see, fascinating to see how Mikel Arteta configures that midfield moving forward, and whether Partey is the final piece of the jigsaw that Arsenal have been waiting for. However, in terms of which of the two of them has impressed me the most, I'm going to go for Hakim Ziyech, to be honest. I loved the look of this new Chelsea team when they beat Burnley at the weekend. And there was a real Ajax feel to them, the way they lined up in that 4-3-3 formation. Timo Werner, Ziyech, either side of Tammy Abraham. And Ziyech's creativity in the final third. I mean, there are very few players in the Premier League who offer that range of passing. He does what you don't expect. And he certainly was playing balls that the Burnley defenders weren't expecting. Not since Diego Costa in 2014 has a player scored on both of his first two Chelsea stars. And I certainly think Ziyech deserves immense credit for how quickly he's adapted to life in the Premier League.
Oh, certainly. I certainly cannot argue with that. Look, as much as I'm impressed with Partey over Ziyech, I think that, Ziyech's game so far, he's got, both of them have only a small sample size for us to work with. But he was phenomenal. And that pass that he pinged the ball from one end of the pitch to the other end, Hudson Odoi dropped it, and Timo Werner scored. It just gives you, a taste of what he can bring to the table. I like the way he receives the ball, the positions he puts himself in, and the way he gets himself out of trouble with just, a little feint here, a little pass there. Very economical with the ball, but he does great things with it. So yeah, Hakim Ziyech, I think it's a great signing for Chelsea.
It's an oft trotted out trope that players from the Eredivisie, from the Netherlands, can struggle to translate their form in Holland over to England, to the Premier League. Ziyech he's now had a hand in 30 goals in his last 40 games for Ajax and Chelsea in all competitions. Do you think he can sustain these kinds of numbers in England, or do you think he started strongly but eventually things will level out?
Look, we can't be prophets, we can't see the future, and when you want to make these sorts of, projections, it's best to work with what you have. And on that basis, you mentioned that sometimes players come to the Premier League and because of the pace and the physicality, they tend to struggle. Ziyech has come in, he's slotted in seamlessly. He's done what he needs to do, and all he has to do is just keep it ticking over. Do the same things he's been doing every day of his life, what he does at training, and he'll be fine. I think we can't make any projections until we see how far he plays. But so on the basis of what we've seen, I think we've got to give it to him.
Trust me, having listened to your predictions for many years, I know you're not a prophet. There's no need to remind me of that. We can't really talk about Chelsea without talking about Edouard Mendy. In Kepa Arrizabalaга's last 6 games for the Blues, he conceded, I think, 14 goals. In Mendy's first 6 games, he's conceded 1 goal. Does that stat tell us everything we need to know, or is it a little bit more nuanced than that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, look, it's never easy for goalkeepers. And, sometimes you might say it's maybe a bit of luck that he comes in at a time when, the team have tightened their defense a little bit. But look, the goalkeeper is a big part of, keeping that defense tight. 3 clean sheets in the Premier League. It goes without saying, especially for a player who was bought for 22 million. He's a big man, 6 feet tall. And you look at the game again. We have to come back to Man United because it seems everybody is getting, is shining in front of United. And you look at that game. It was Man United against Mendy. Not United against Chelsea. And time after time after time, he came up big, save after save after save. So, and you look at it and think, look, if it was Kepa in there, United probably would have won that game maybe by 2 goals. So yes, we've got to look at Mendy and think, it's down to him.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.